And we're back again, brother.
About time.
Yep.
I
Feels like it's
legitimately didn't know if I was going to make it. I'm glad I did.
you did. You did.
I did.
Yep. You did make it.
But I lost my audio for a second there. I've been watching, Adam Savage, the guy from Mythbusters?
I know of him, yeah.
Okay, so he has I guess a YouTube where he does one-day builds and he just builds all this cool stuff.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay,
I've
yeah.
watched him do Grogu, I've watched him do sabers, but yeah.
See, I'm watching him build a saber right now. I just ran across it. It just popped up on my YouTube yesterday, probably because I've been Googling lightsabers for the last 4 months.
I wonder why.
Dude, it's so cool. Like, it's so cool watching him. He hand mills it and everything. I want to go buy a machine and learn how to mill things now. But I don't think Amber's gonna let me spend like 10 grand to build my own lightsabers. But I was thinking about this.
We are the Marauders, and of course I could not do this show alone. I have one of my best friends along with me, and he's just going by Shane today.
Just shame. It's basic tonight. It's basic tonight.
Tonight we are Venom. So that's what it is. So question for you, bro.
Shoot.
You a wrestling guy?
Used to be, not so much anymore.
Oh, well, just real quick, because we talk kind of everything pop culture. This past weekend there was a pay-per-view of the rival company for WWE, which is called AEW, All Elite Wrestling. And so they pulled off a big feat by hiring CM Punk, who used to be huge star.
He used to be huge.
Yeah, ECW, all of that. But famously with WWE, Pipe Bomb, where he told all the backstage secrets, whoop. He wins the championship this weekend. And what AEW does is after their shows, they do these press conference to give it like a more realistic feel of a sport or whatever.
Like it's a sporting event. Yeah.
And in the post interview, he goes in on like some of the higher ups of the company, but this is not scripted. Like, this is
of AEW, the company he just signed with.
Yeah. But he's the champion, right? Mind you.
Okay.
And he's talking about other people within the company. But long story less long, WWE, most of the stuff that they talk about on air is written by writers. They don't have the wrestlers don't have a whole lot of leeway when they
You're not ad-libbing.
Right. On AEW, they more so just give you talking points. They might say, hey, hit this beat, and then you go out there and kind of do what you do. One of the wrestlers that he wrestled before this weekend said some personal stuff within the promo on TV, and it wasn't cleared by CM Punk prior to. So during the press conference, he's airing all of this laundry out. Long story less long. After the press conference, the people he was talking about, they got into a fight, a real fight backstage.
A legitimate fight.
So the owner of the company stripped all of them, because they were the top champions, like they were the trios champions, and he was the world champion. He stripped all of them of the belts, and they're basically like resetting everything. And that, I mean, that's such huge news from wrestling. So I just, like I said.
So do you think it's legitimate, or do you think it's scripted?
No. This is 100% legit. Like, CM Punk is known. So in the press conferences, you don't necessarily have to be in character, because the reporters are asking you questions like, how do you feel after the match? And, he got up there and just free ranted about stuff that was going on in the news, like these things that are floating around in the news. It would be like the stuff that we hear about Star Wars or Marvel or whatever. And then you have one of the actors not in character answering questions, what he truly feels about said comments. So he was doing that, except for he doesn't have a leash on him, and he's sitting next to the owner of the company saying all of this stuff. So it just got super weird, super fast.
So did they do anything to his contract, or they just?
So that's still up in the air. Excuse me. All of the other people involved were suspended. They have yet to say what happened to him. Most people are speculating he's going to be done with the company after these comments, because obviously what he said sparked the whole thing. But those other people still have to be accountable for what they did in the process too. So it is a big deal because, like I said,
Wow.
these are the top champions of the company, and they basically had to scrap all of that. So all because with this particular pay-per-view, they're setting up the future storylines for the next people that are going to fight.
Yeah.
And so they had to basically rewrite their show because that happened Sunday and their next show was on Wednesday. So and
Oh,
they're
so
like,
the turnaround is that quick.
yes. When they've already, they knew going into Sunday, like this person's gonna win, so they can set up for this storyline. Whoop de whoop de whoop. They,
Yeah.
it's a TV show.
Right.
So yeah, but yeah, big
crazy.
news for wrestlers. Big news for
That's
wrestlers.
crazy. So he won't be wrestling Wednesday, I take it.
Oh
Or
no,
he
no.
didn't.
So
Okay.
the other thing is that he sustained an injury, and they don't know whether it was because of the real fight or if it happened in the scripted fight on the pay-per-view.
I mean,
But-
can you imagine if I'm assuming they paid the guy a chunk of change. Like you just signed this guy, you paid him all this money, you made him your champion,
Well,
and then he gets hurt fighting in backstage.
Well, but that's the thing. He's been with the company now for a year.
Okay, so it's been a little while.
Yeah, he's been there for a year, but the thing is that he's been away from wrestling for 7 years, and he was
retired.
Well, he said he was never coming back to professional wrestling. He went off to the UFC for some years and did his thing. But anyway,
that's what Lesnar did. Did Lesnar wrestle before he went to MMA, or
yes.
did he come?
Yes.
Okay,
and
then he went back. Right?
NFL, he was an NFL player, and then he was with the WWE. He left WWE and went to the UFC, and then now he's back in WWE.
Wow,
making that he's making a guap, like a.
Is he still a big name? Because I haven't seen
Brock. Yes, he is very much a big name. Like he is on a part-time schedule, which means they only bring him in for big matches. He doesn't wrestle like that.
So he's making bank doing it.
Yeah, he might get $2 million just to come and wrestle.
Could you imagine?
15 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
How much do you think The Rock would get if he came back?
Probably around the same price.
Dude, I'd come back once a year for $2 million.
100%.
Just to pay the fees on the yacht?
Is with The Rock, though, is because, he does movies. So the last time The Rock wrestled, he tore his pec and spleen or something like that. So he would, with the movie roles, they got to be careful not to damage his face. It's a whole thing. So
yeah. And you don't want him getting hurt, especially with how tight the filming schedules are and stuff. And he's got so much crap.
Exactly.
Did you see,
go ahead.
Since we're on the subject of The Rock, did you see the statement that he put out for Brendan Fraser? So Brendan Fraser's in the news, right? Because of that, I think it's called The Whale. And so I guess it's him. He's playing an overweight guy. It's getting all kinds of awards buzz. I guess it was in Cannes this week, and so they showed there's like a video that you can watch online where they're giving him the applause after the movie or whatever, and he looks so uncomfortable.
6-minute standing ovation.
So 6 minutes. He looks super uncomfortable. He left Hollywood. And there was all that controversy, and he's kind of vanished.
He's been in Dune, though.
Right. Y'all know why he left.
Dune Patrol. Yeah, but
he was blacklisted.
They blacklisted him because he said he was assaulted. So anyway, he's getting his due, but it was really neat. The Rock put something out, and The Rock was just he's my man. He was the one who took a chance on me and gave him his first acting role.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Returns.
Yep.
Yeah. The Scorpion King, right?
The Scorpion King.
He was the Scorpion King in The Mummy or something like that.
Yeah, whichever. And then they did the Scorpion King movie. But anyway, he was thanking him. It was just a really neat thing because The Rock is so huge now. And back then, Brendan Fraser was massive.
Yeah, he was.
He was on fire.
I mean, just think of all. I mean, the Mummies are still some of my favorite movies. I love them.
Yeah,
I love them.
Obviously, even TC didn't do it justice.
No. Nobody can do it justice without Brendan Fraser.
Well, we knew you wouldn't agree if TC did it, so that was an understatement.
Who's TC?
Tom Cruise? Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah, he's
kidding me.
Dumb. No. I will give you guys this about Tom Cruise. My all-time favorite movie stars him.
The Legend.
Called Legend.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. That's the one with
1982 is when it came out.
With Nicole Kidman, right?
No.
No.
Nope. Nope.
Which one is the Legend? I'm thinking of the one
Mia Sara, Tim Curry, and Tom Cruise.
And he kissed the fairy.
Yes, he kisses the fairy.
I don't know if I've ever seen this movie.
The fairy and the demon that's in the movie. They use the same mask structure from The Mask, the villain, when the villain put on the mask.
Oh yeah. So it's Lord Darkness.
Sorry.
Not demon. He was the Lord of the Darkness.
Okay. Thank you, dear.
How have I never heard of this movie?
He is my favorite. Like Tim Curry in that movie, that was like back in the early 80s. And the visual effects on this guy is amazing. But that's my all-time favorite movie, and it stars Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that's a very good movie. It's a very great movie.
A cult classic.
It is.
Well, I might. Okay, wait. Okay, I've seen the picture of him in this outfit. Okay, I might have to do some.
It's where my love of Bad Boys came into effect. It wasn't
with
Tom
shiny
Cruise,
gold, shiny gold armor.
No, Lord Darkness. There's this part where like Mia Sarah's on the ground, like she's in hell, and like she's laying on the ground, and he like Tim Curry's this big, horned figure.
Is he the devil?
He's like standing. Yes, he's standing over in this like black capes, like in the wind, and I was like,
could be very traumatizing for a kid to watch. I can tell you that.
I was like 4 my first time watching it.
Does Phil have a devil suit, or is that too personal to ask?
He 3D printed me a bust of Tim Curry like that. So
he knows what he's doing.
That's what's up.
So before we jump into everything, you guys, we did want to kind of tell a quick little Marauders high five moment. So the Marauders got together and we purchased a lightsaber for a young lady. Just smile. Okay. Just smile. It's cool. And this young lady, she every time we bring lightsabers to church, she's like super excited, super into it. Like she's very, very supportive. And so she was like, yeah, I had a lightsaber once and I let a friend use it and he broke it. And so we decided to get her one. And so it was cool because Shane had just recently got his new saber and he had a Vader saber in. And so we called her over. He's like, yo, we got some new sabers in. And she literally took off running. And so he pulls out the Vader saber. She's like swinging around doing. She's like, oh, this is real cool, super cool. So then we give her the other saber, and she's like, oh my gosh, now this one's my favorite. She's like, this one it's not too heavy. I like the hilt. Like this one is really cool. And we was like, yeah, that one's yours. And she was like, excuse me? We was like, yeah, that one's yours. And she was like, and so she starts crying. And so me and Shane just starts immediately talking. He was like, oh yeah, so here's your box. And I gave her the instructions and she's like losing it. And we're sitting up here just trying to talk it through because, both of us would have been water working if we'd have just let her go. But she was super appreciative. And then we just asked her to play with it the whole rest of the day. So
it was neat.
Yeah, it was real. It
was neat. And then I had to go out and buy one because I really liked it. So, so I have another saber coming on Friday.
Yeah.
That's so good.
We definitely wanted to take this moment because during the past week, Bonnie finally finished The Boys. So we want her review of seasons 1, 2, and 3. What did you think, Bonnie?
I loved it. I did. I think that The Boys is it's a very good take on superheroes and how they would be in real life. I like the grittiness of it. I like the heads exploding of it, literal and such.
Did you enjoy other body parts exploding?
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Were we accurate about Herogasm? Did you?
So honestly, I was just because some of the hype I had read too on Twitter, which I would try not to look at that stuff, but like it was like this was the, most vulgar sex scene on TV, and I was like, I don't know. I didn't think it was like
he opened the door and the man's business came around and like tapped him on the shoulder. Okay, they set that bar high right from the get-go.
Right,
okay?
It was a callback because obviously that dude was in season 2.
Season 2, yes. And I was like, what is that choking him?
When his junk is just floating around like it's.
I don't think it's ever gonna recover though after that because he was like carrying it around after the explosion, like.
When he opens the door. Oh.
Now my question is, which we won't know until next season, is Jensen Ackles going to come back as Soldier Boy because he didn't die?
No, will be back. He will be back. I think Homelander's going to find him.
I hope so because he's like,
I think for sure,
bro, it's his dad. It's like keep it in the family.
And I don't know. They're not done there.
And we see Negan. Negan is coming for season 4.
Yeah. I wonder who he's going to be in this season.
Yuck.
I don't know because he better be related to Butcher some kind of way.
Oh,
if he plays any type of character like Negan, it's really going to disappoint me. Like I want to see something totally different. I hate Negan. Hate everything about Negan. I don't like the character. I don't like the way he acts it.
I don't even know what his real name is. He's Negan. That's just who he is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm agreeing with you, but Negan is the reason I stopped watching The Walking Dead, honestly.
Seriously,
I hated it. I hated his portrayal. I did not enjoy it.
I thought he was good at it.
I'm not saying,
but I also like whenever he talks like that to people. I'm like, hey, how's it going?
It's not my cup of tea.
I can tell you, Bonnie, that I am super proud of you for watching The Boys. Like you're all caught up. I'm so happy.
Yes.
Now we
but I have questions.
Okay, what's up?
I just have questions. Shoot. Well, that's the thing. Like, is Ryan going to be evil? I really hope not.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, he's gonna be impressionable by his dad. I mean, obviously, Butcher talked crazy to him and kind of like let him go. So
I'm hoping that he still has that piece of his mom left in him where he's like, I don't want to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
But it would make more sense from a boy's standpoint that he does go evil.
No.
Yes, because The Boys is like, it's that kind of show.
That is true. And then I'm like, okay, Butcher's gonna have to take the real V. If they gave him what, 12 months?
But you can't take it as an adult, can you?
Yes, you can, because they gave it to the girl.
They gave it back to Kimiko.
Yeah, Kimiko.
You're right, because she had lost it. But see, I didn't know, will it have the same effect if you didn't have powers before?
He's taken the temporary V.
Temporary V is what has the backlash, not the real stuff.
It's interesting. But
that's what my theory is.
Will he get the same powers if he takes a normal V?
I hope so, because he is that is Batman and Joker.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, they are
who's
Batman
Joker?
And Joker.
Is Butcher Joker?
No, Butcher's not Joker. Unfortunately, Butcher's Batman.
Butcher's not Batman either. Dude, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I dislike Butcher more than
Homelander
sometimes. Yeah. Like, Butcher gets on my nerves.
Now, are you upset with? Are you upset with Huey though? Because I understood Huey's. I'm not. I'm not mad at him because, for one, he's in love.
He's an L7 weenie.
What do you mean? Like, he's dating is it Starfire or Starlight? Starlight. So he's dating Starlight, and
let me explain though.
Go ahead.
The reason why I'm saying it, right? Her ex from her past is a soup like she is, and they are like hanging out, and then they're having the inside jokes and all of this, that, and the other. He feels helpless. Like, you always having to save me. I'm not the man in the relationship. I'm the girl, basically. That's the way he felt.
Not basically.
He's the little bitch.
Right.
He acts like one too.
So anyway, that's why I feel like Butcher was more of a enabler to help him.
100%.
Yes.
And I love the superpower they chose for him, where he just teleports naked, like
Nightcrawler, basically.
Dude, it's Huey. Like,
doesn't keep his clothes on.
Exactly. Like, dude, it makes me so happy that, like, he gets a superpower, but he's still like the goober of the superpower world.
Oh my God, he is.
And then when he grabs her in Herogasm and he teleports her out, and she's naked, and she's like,
what about the dude though that he teleported? I'm not.
Oh, I know the mind dude.
Not gonna hurt you. Please don't look at me. Do not look at me.
Oh my God. Okay, but honestly, one of my most favorite storylines from this last season was the Aquaman. I'm terrible with names.
The Deep.
Look, dude, when the Deep is in bed with his wife, and he's like, hey babe, I want to try something new.
Oh,
and she's, and she's just kind of like, she's really, and he's like, no, I need this. And then
yeah, that happened. Listen, I wanted to be a fly on the wall with Bonnie watching that. Or you know what? She loved the Kimiko fight scene. She loved it.
Oh my God, that was the best freaking fight scene I've ever seen on TV.
The one where she doesn't have powers, or the ones with
with the special enhancements. Yeah.
And the fact that she uses starlights to like stab through the dude's head, I was like, was the best.
When he opens up that like armoire and it's just all the 7, and you're just like, the show.
And she made it look so good too, like in her fancy dress with the little things. Like,
honey, you need to watch the behind the scenes of her talking about the fight. That's what you need.
Oh my God, yes, I do.
It's out there.
Okay, funny story about behind the scenes stuff. I was on Twitter, I think it was last night, and in the 3rd season with A-Train and his whole movement or whatever, and they put him in the commercial. Or he makes the commercial. I didn't realize that was exactly like the one that Kendall Jenner did.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Pepsi, yeah.
You can watch them both like side by side. It's like, it's the funniest thing.
And I liked A-Train's story through this one.
I love that he got to apologize to Huey. I love that.
I thought it was a neat scene because obviously it's in the middle of Hero-gasm, and it's kind of funny, but then it's like, there's still all that tension there.
It felt authentic though. Like it felt like he was like, bro, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. That was wrong.
Because he's finally living it. Like he's finally living it. And then when he just grabs that guy and starts running.
Yeah. But look, how do you feel that he has his heart? Like, do you think that's gonna play into next season?
It has to.
I know. I think it's gonna really mess with him. Plus, he's switched back to his original suit and all that stuff that he was wanting to do. They're like, no, we don't want to do that.
His brother hates him now. Like, there's all that animosity.
That's a huge part. Yep.
Do you, Shane? Did you think that Maeve was gone?
Who?
Maeve. Did you think she was a goner?
Oh, 100%. I thought for sure they killed Maeve.
I did too.
I legitimately thought they killed Maeve. And I was like, and because they kill people in this series, obviously, and it's not like a Game of Thrones level, but you never know who's gonna die.
Facts, because I wasn't expecting Black Noir to die.
Neither was I.
Wasn't either.
Because, and how about his whole?
I loved it.
I thought it was
when they watched him die, and they were just like talking him through it, like it's gonna be okay, and like that was crazy. But my thing was, in the comics, he's Mother's Milk's brother.
Okay. I didn't know that.
I would have liked for them to put that into the storyline. I feel like that would, because I was sad when Black Noir died, but you would have had a much bigger impact.
Right.
And that strife or whatever, that you're getting with other characters and to get that with. Because I know that like Mother's Milk, his dad was killed by Soldier Boy and that whole thing. But how it would have been like 10 times better if Black Noir was his brother.
And they tried to almost tie it in. There was a moment where Black Noir was at a vending machine in one of the seasons buying a particular candy, and it's the same candy that Mother's Milk was eating. So it felt like they were leaning closer to it. And then of course we see in season 3 where he takes the helmet off and he's a black guy. So I was like, they're doing it. And then he dies. I was like, and how he died. Oh my gosh. He could have played jump rope with that thing, bro.
What about, honestly, like, I think one of the again, there's so many good scenes, but how about the one where he finally brings the Deep in and they sit down to the dinner and
he makes him eat that.
And he makes him eat the octopus alive. Like that scene was just like, dude,
Homelander is a POS, bro.
And that actor is brilliant.
He is. He's really good.
Here's the thing. So back when The Boys first came out, I made Sarah watch it. And after the first scene, she was like, nah, I'm out. So then Deuce came over here, I think this past weekend, and he was like, man, I'm really waiting for Stranger Things, and I really want to watch something new. I was like, you should watch The Boys. So I was like, let me at least show you the first scene. So we watched the first scene, and Sarah's like, what in the world are we watching? I'm like, babe, we started watching this, and you bailed out on it. She was like, I don't remember this. So yeah. When she saw that explosion again, she was like, what are we watching? Because it did it in super slow-mo. It was like, oh my God, and it got in his mouth. It was horrible.
This is a show that I knew, like, literally from the first minute I turned it on. I was like, no, my wife is never going to watch this.
Well, see, now we just got to get her and Philip on Peacemaker now that she's in that vein.
You got to do Peacemaker.
Watch Peacemaker.
It's so good.
I don't want to. I started watching American Gods.
What is that?
American Gods is good.
Okay.
I've seen season 2. I've not watched there's 3 seasons, right?
There's 3, and what kind of ticks me off, like Stars offers season 1, but you have to purchase season 2 on like Amazon or Apple.
Weird.
And season 3. Like I don't understand.
It's a Stars show that doesn't make sense.
Exactly. Absolutely no sense whatsoever.
I enjoyed season 2. It's such an odd show. Like
it's Neil Gaiman's. He's like, you know.
So I've never read the books, right? Is it a book series?
They're graphic novels, yeah.
Oh, okay. See, that makes more sense. But I mean, I didn't know what I was getting into coming into it, and obviously, dude,
it's pretty. Yeah, I would say it's up there with The Boys as far as like
the grid.
I don't think they show as much. Yeah,
vulgarness.
I don't know if they show as much, but it's not a show for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
No.
No.
But it's kind of that weird, like Sandman was, you know.
Yeah.
Yes. Dude, Sandman, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Yes.
Well, let's jump into the new series, y'all. We've been
which one?
We're gonna talk Lord of the Rings. We're gonna talk Lord of the Rings.
Can we talk House of the Dragon?
I have not seen the third episode.
We're gonna get there. But let's get on this Lord of the Rings first, and then we'll get to House of Dragons.
The Rings of Power.
So Shane, you have been the most anticipated one of the bunch. So what are your thoughts?
So I mean, again, my disclaimer: I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan, not a huge Hobbit fan. And most of what I saw leading into the Rings of Power was negative. So I honestly just came and look. I watched The Wheel of Time, and that is the worst adaptation I've ever witnessed. I don't think anything can top it. So I was very paranoid coming into this, and so I set my expectations really, really low. Like I was not. I mean, I was excited. Yes, none. Like none. I figured it was going to be bad. Okay. Most of the criticism that I heard going into it is that it was woke. And we can dive into that. But I mean, if you look online, there's articles from everyone talking about how it's like their woke version of Lord of the Rings. So I was worried. Okay. Now I also have read Tolkien, and I'm not criticizing Tolkien, but Tolkien wrote the books in like the 20s and the 30s, and there's only white people in Lord of the Rings. Okay. So when you adapt something like that into modern times, I have no problem with you adding people other than white people. So that wasn't an issue for me. So I watched it with my wife, both episodes, and I'm going to be frank, I loved it. It looks like Lord of the Rings to me. It has the feel, you know, like the sweeping vistas and like the big battles and the set pieces. Now, I have some nitpicks with some of the characters, obviously, because like it's really jarring to me to hear oh God, what's his name? It's not Elrond.
Elrond?
Is it Elrond?
Yes.
Yes, it is. So it's really jarring when they said his name because he's such a distinctive character from the Lord of the Rings series, and like I can get past the Galadriel because she's younger.
Is that Agent Smith?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you know, his character obviously is, I don't know how many ever hundreds of years younger in this. But the actor just looks nothing like him.
Facts.
And so it's a really big disconnect for me there. I can get past
that was young Ned Stark.
Is that who that is?
Yes, young Ned Stark is.
That makes sense. But I mean, but like he doesn't. When you think of Elrond, like I don't see any like characteristics there.
The features, yeah.
Yes, and he plays such a different character, in my opinion, like being a politician and stuff. It was just kind of odd to me. So you know that's kind of a nitpick for me. But again, I haven't read so this is not off the Silmarillion. This is based off of the appendixes for the Lord of the Rings. So the letters that Tolkien wrote and like the extra stuff that didn't make it into the books. I guess they did not have the rights to the Silmarillion, which is why we see them gloss over the whole war with Morgoth in like 5 minutes.
I was wondering.
That's what the Silmarillion is, right? That whole time period. But they don't have the rights to that. They just have the rights to the appendixes to the Lord of the Rings. So that's why you're seeing the creation of the Rings of Power and stuff like that. Yeah. So I learned that. But anyway, so the few nitpicks I have, but for a show this big, like I was really surprised I had as few as I did. I don't know who they hired for like the graphics team compared to the Wheel of Time, but it's night and day.
Well, I mean, it's bigger budget too, obviously.
It's a much bigger budget.
I would say this. I am not as big of a Lord of the, like I couldn't, if I watched the movies again, I would remember some of it or whatever like that. Obviously, Gollum and all of that stuff. But I think for me, right, if they didn't have the name Lord of the Rings attached to it, I think it would feel a whole lot better. If it was just some new fantasy thing, I think because you put Lord of the Rings on it, for instance, and this is going to be a hard comparison, but you guys will understand. When I watch House of Dragons, right, it feels like Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Right.
Lord of the Rings of Power don't feel like Lord of the Rings to me. There was portions, there were things that happened. I was like, oh, and this kind of feels ish, but Game of Thrones feels like Game of Thrones to me. Like that's the way I feel. I the first episode was a little, it was kind of boring.
They got to introduce a lot of people.
Yeah, they do.
A lot.
And I get that. And I, which is why I know the business where you release 2 episodes, because you figure people are not going to be rocking with the first episode. Like,
you don't want to lose them.
Right. Second episode had a bit better pace. Yeah. I like the Game of Thrones dude as the elf.
It's just
Greyjoy. What's his name? Grey Worm.
Oh yeah.
And he was even bigger in Lord of the Rings than he was in Game of Thrones. So I mean, like I said, there were aspects of things I really enjoyed. Not down on the series, but it's difficult, right, not to compare when you're like, they're doing a prequel over here with House of Dragons and then the prequel over here with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I'm so into House of Dragons. Like, it's third episode was crazy, but I mean, yeah.
I mean, I'm too into it, and
I have a new crush,
and I'm 100% with you. It feels like Game of Thrones, and this to me, like, I think it feels like Lord of the Rings because it feels like somebody watched the first Lord of the Rings, that trilogy with, like, the way he did the sweeping vistas, and like that's what like leads me into Lord of the, like a big thing for me on Lord of the Rings. I was talking to Jared last night, and a big thing for Lord of the Rings for me was like it's a little scene, but like when they're boating on that river, and they pan out and you see the giant statues, and like the world, the world to me is like that fantasy environment, and I get that with this, not to the level of Lord of the Rings yet, but we're 2 episodes in. But like when they pan out and you see ruins, and like or you see a statue like laying down on its side, like that looks ancient, like that stuff to me is like, it's a world that's steeped in the history, and that just to me gets me excited. But I'm kind of a nerd. Like, I like honestly, one of my favorite scenes of Rogue One is when they go to Jeddah and they pan out and you see all of like the old Jedi temples and the statues like built into the mountains. Like that's the stuff that gets me excited. So that's kind of the feel I get. Like I said, I'm not telling you this is a 10 out of 10 for me. Like,
yeah. But you
it's definitely not a bomb.
Enjoyed what you saw.
Yeah, and like I'm ready for the next episode.
Yeah, I'm glad you got that because you were really anticipating it. I think that was dope. Bonnie, go ahead.
Is it my turn yet?
Yes, you can. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say it feels very Lord of the Rings to me because it was boring.
Oh God.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with anyone.
Just kidding.
Its pacing is not for everyone.
Yeah,
but it did. It felt very Lord of the Rings. Like I was constantly asking Phil. I did do some painting while I was watching the show, so I'm like asking Phil questions. I'm like, what does this mean? What are they doing? And he's like, oh my God, would you just sit down and watch it? I'm tired.
My 2 favorite scenes, though. My 2 favorite scenes is the boat scene where the big monster comes. Like, that just made it feel really huge. Like, it felt big. Like when she was, and now mind you, I'm watching on my phone, right? She's in the water and like she kind of goes up underwater and sees where the monster is. That creeped me out. Like, that was I thought that was done very well. And then I liked how she fought the troll thing or whatever, the big the
ice troll.
Yeah, she went, man, she got busy, bro.
So I think would say that my favorite scene was with the dwarfs.
Okay. So my favorite scene is when they walk into the dwarf kingdom, and again, I'm a sucker for pan outs, and they pan out and you see, like, because you think about, and I'm sorry for the rabbit trails, but you think about the original Lord of the Rings when they go into Moria, they finally get in after the big squid and all that, and then they march through Moria. And Gandalf, that one time he risks a little more light, and they zoom out, and you see all of the workings, but that's it. It's all in ruin and decay.
Yeah.
So to go into a dwarven stronghold like at the height of their power, and to see like the waterfalls and the gardens and like just the sheer magnitude of, dude.
Yeah, and I love the conversation. Like he was like,
yes,
you were gone for 20 years, bro. Like you missed my wedding, you missed my kid's birth, right? He's like, so that might have been a night to you, but that's a lifetime for me. He was, and so the whole thing about when we go and you get to say, apologize to my wife, you're not staying for dinner. You know what I'm saying?
And dude, I love the wife.
She's like, no, he's staying for dinner.
I love the wife.
She's my favorite right now.
Yes, she feels like a dwarf. Like I'll just be honest with you, she like that. She feels like a dwarf female would be. Like because obviously they're super stubborn, and she just gives him the look.
Yeah,
and he's over there like sulking, and I loved it.
Like I said, that felt really good. Like even the challenge that they did, whatever what he invoked, like I thought all of that was cool. Even where he's like, look, you do your thing. And I'm known for doing my thing, so let me do my thing right now. And he went in there, like all of that felt good. That's why I said episode 2 felt a lot better. Even the thing with the cow, right? And all of this, the bookie stuff came out of the cow, like that whole thing, and how they treat elves and stuff like that. All of that was great. Like you know what I'm saying? First episode, like I said, it just was really like, I don't know. But like I said, I think overall, right? If it didn't have the Lord of the Rings name, it would feel better to me. I'm not saying that, like, obviously it's 2 episodes in, but yeah.
I mean, and honestly, I think it would be more well received because I don't think you'd have the negativity.
Right.
But again, it'd be hard to make this, about the Rings of Power and it not be Lord of the Rings. But like so much negativity is like, oh no, they're not doing, they're not following Tolkien. But again, like if you look at the Lord of the Rings trilogy, they did not follow Tolkien's. Like there are so many changes in the main Lord of the Rings trilogy. I'm not talking The Hobbit, but in the main Lord of the Rings trilogy, there are massive changes that they made. And we don't talk about it because it's beloved, right? It won all the Oscars, and it's it's like the height of fantasy. But he departed from Tolkien massively. So it's a tough for me to listen to the arguments of like they didn't follow Lord. You're adapting appendixes, letters, and like stuff that he wrote that is not even in the books. You're adapting it into a film, onto television, and you're going to get mad that they made changes.
Yeah. Now this story is about how the rings. Now the rings are already made, right?
I'm a little because I'm wondering when the dwarves open it, are they looking at the ring?
Yeah, I'm not, because that was my thing. Is each different group like has so many rings, right? And the whole thing is they're bound to. Sauron,
so basically Sauron or Sauron. It's Sauron. So Sauron creates the Rings of Power, right? So he's in exile and he creates the Rings of Power. And don't quote me on the numbers. I have not watched Lord of the Rings in a couple months. So he gives a certain quantity to the dwarf lords, and then he gives a certain quantity to the elf lords, and then he gives, is it 7 or 9 rings of power? 9 rings of power to the rulers
I think it's
of men.
9.
Yeah. So I think it's 9 for men. They get the most. And so basically, but what they don't know is like they get these rings of power, but what they don't know is he created the one ring, and that basically like corrupts them all. Yeah. So I'm under the impression that we're seeing the creation of the rings of power.
Okay.
They may already be created, and we may be seeing like the distribution.
Maybe they're not bound to him yet.
Well, they wouldn't be. Like when they first get the rings, I don't think you put it on and you're bound. I think it's going to be like think about the first time Frodo puts the one ring on, right? He goes into that shadow realm or whatever, where the Nazgul rule and all that, and he sees the eye, but he's not controlled, right? So the ring comes off and there's no side effects. But the longer he has the ring on him, like as we watch, like by the time that we get to the Return of the King, like you can see he's like physically exhausted, and like you can see the draw. So when Smeagol, and I'm going deep, I'm sorry, when Smeagol finds the one ring, he has the ring for like I think it's 60 or 90 years. And so he's in that cave with that ring for like 90 years or 60 years. We'll say 60 for all those years. So he's in there with it corrupting him that entire time. And that's why we see him like, obviously he used to be a river folk, and then he's twisted into what we see with Gollum and Smeagol. So I think like, yeah, he's going to give them the rings of power, and then he'll slowly corrupt them is what I'm getting.
Gotcha.
Well, man, I'm like I said, I'm very excited for you, bro, and I'm gonna keep watching, but it's definitely not House of Dragons for me.
Well,
speaking
ain't nothing House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon is
fire.
So I am not going to get into spoilerish territory since you haven't seen it.
No, plug your damn ears. Plug your ears.
You guys, look, you know me. I mean, I spoil things. If we want to get after episode 3, that's fine.
All right.
I'm watching it on my wife's schedule, so like watch it when my wife is ready. But let me just say this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before we start on this, did you read the statement that the writer, what's his name? I suck with names.
Oh, you would ask that, and I don't remember.
What's
I know
his name?
Podrick's the one that's
I've read the man's book.
What you talking about?
George R. R. Martin.
Thank you. I knew there was R's in it.
I think you're talking about the writer of the show.
No, so George R. R. Martin told HBO that it needed 10, 11, 12, or 13 seasons. So HBO had purchased more episodes, but the writers, the brothers, are the reason the show ended when it did because they were done.
I hate them. I loathe them.
Yes. So think about this.
Rewatching it.
So, yeah. Think about this, like how the pacing of those first 5 seasons. Like, so think about like you get season 6. If that's just all the Night King, and then that next season is just all Dany and her descent, and then season 8 is like that war. Like, just think about how much better and like how much people would have been able to take like her descent if it wasn't done in 5 episodes.
Well, if she shouldn't have had that descent, period. That's a whole different conversation.
Well, that's a whole different thing. Again, you have the Targaryen curse and all that stuff.
Right, but I think that this is the same argument that, and I promise I'm not gonna get into it. This is kind of the same argument people have with the sequel trilogy of Star Wars, right? Of how it was written. So I think it's the same when it comes to the community of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I will say that, like, with the whole, I rewatched season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Is it 8? I couldn't remember how many we got through.
And really paying attention, really freaking paying attention. And it is like you can see this, like you see the sloppiness.
Yeah.
So
it's because they were done.
Freaking slop, and you can even see it.
It wasn't so much
at the end of season 7.
Yeah. It wasn't so much that they were done as much as HBO was pressuring them to get the stuff done. That's how
HBO wanted more. HBO wanted more.
Signed up for more episodes.
Yeah, but then the writers are ready to move on to their next thing. Like don't sign on
Star Wars.
Don't sign on to Game of Thrones if you're not going to finish it.
Yeah.
You don't go to Lord of the Rings and be like, hey, I'm going to quit after one movie.
Which you guys do know that the director of House of the Dragon has already said he's doing this one season and he's done. The Podrick guy, I can't say it right, but he's the guy that did Battle of the Bastards, Hard Home, and another episode of Game of Thrones, which he's done spectacular. But here's what he's like, deuces, I'm out because I'm going to be going and doing this stuff, which is cool, but he's still going to executive produce. So it's like
he's just getting a paycheck.
Could have,
Yeah, he's JJ in it.
Yeah, he just wants that credit and that check.
Still, he's letting everybody know ahead of time, hey, I'm bouncing. So then they can find, which I know this is the director, not the writers, but still, I feel like they could have said, hey, we're bouncing, and then and another thing that really perturbs me is George R. R. Martin didn't have a whole lot of say-so in the last few seasons of Game of Thrones. So as long as you still have the source, dude, you should be able to find writers.
Obviously, he's giving the general history. But I mean, if you watch the early season, or not even the early seasons, if you watch Lord of the Rings, I mean, they've already told us, or not Game of Thrones. If you watch Game of Thrones, they've already told us what's happening in the series. There's certain scenes which clearly dictate how this story goes, because they tell you what happens with. I don't want to spoil things if you don't, if you haven't caught it, but she reads the histories.
I already know how this, the story of House of Dragon. If you've watched Game of Thrones, those Easter eggs are in there.
Yeah, they've laid it out where we're going.
I've not read any books like that, so I'm just enjoying.
This is in Game of Thrones.
No. I understand what you're saying is about the Easter eggs. What I'm saying is, some people, like you said, kind of know what that's going to happen in this season. Based upon whatever, I
don't think it will happen in this season.
No, it's not happening in this season.
Further down the line,
yeah.
But if you watch Game of Thrones and you saw those Easter eggs, you know how this whole thing will end.
Yeah, she opens a history book and she reads the history of the Targaryens, and
it was Stannis' daughter, I think, that reads the Dance of the
Dragon.
Dragon.
the one who got burned, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and Joffrey even says it too, and I think season 3 of Game of Thrones. So like they're thrown in there, but that's the thing. Like even if you know and you've like saw those things, what they're doing. So which I know we're only 3 episodes in, but they're already saying, hey, we're going to do season 2. But I think HBO learned their lesson with Game of Thrones.
Let's hope.
First off, they're keeping George R.R. Martin on, and he has a lot more input than he did in Game of Thrones with this show. But I think that's a huge part of it.
Here's the problem. You have new studio execs. It's a whole new structure, okay? So that's fine in season 1, 2, and 3, but what happens when this show is everything that Game of Thrones was, and you're paying $3 million, $4 million, $5 million an episode? Do they have the stomach to put the money? And that's just paying your actors.
They do, because they cut away a lot of the stuff. All of the fluff that people are complaining that they're getting rid of. That's what Zaslav does. He's Zaslav's the X.
He is.
So,
I'm hoping that they're willing to invest. Like, look at Lord of the Rings. Say what you want. 100%. Like they've invested. Like, and they're committed. Like, I'm really hoping they commit to this.
Listen, HBO. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say Bonnie even brought something up about what HBO did to rival against Lord of the Rings.
Which they really go ahead. You want me to say?
No, yeah. I'll say
so HBO released the first episode of House of Dragon on YouTube so that everybody could watch it for free to compete with Lord of the Rings, which a thing came out on Twitter yesterday that showed how many viewers Lord of the Rings had versus House of Dragon within the first 4 days. So these are all within the first 4 days for the statistics. And I think Lord of the Rings was like 1.7 million, but House of the Dragon was like 4.6. So I think they definitely have a very successful show so far. And I think, too, what's going to help them is the source material is already completed. Blood and Fire is done. That book is completed. So I think that helps. Yes, it's all one. It's done.
Well, 2 things before we jump into the episode. First of all, you mentioned Joffrey. I'm rewatching one episode. I mean, like, I don't know what episode, but season 1, basically. Listen, when Tyrion was slapping his face after Bran gets pushed out the window, and the way he was screaming gave me life, because Tyrion just kept slapping him and kept slapping him and kept slapping him. But so here's the thing. I was getting ready to watch episode 3 of the House of Dragon, and somehow I must have missed the whole first episode prologue, like the beginning, where he names what's his name as the king. I missed that whole scene.
You missed that?
Bro, I'm watching this like, this don't seem like how this episode should, because what it was is me and Sarah watched the 3rd episode, but I was cooking at the time. We watched it on Labor Day. And so I was like, well, let me go back and make sure I didn't miss anything important, because I was running out to the grill, whoop, whoop, whoop. So when it started, and I'm like, I don't remember this scene in the 3rd episode. So I'm sitting up here watching, and then it got to something familiar from the 1st episode. I was like, I missed this whole part.
Just that whole beginning part. Bro, where they have like the big conclave or whatever.
That's why she's
where, him and his wife are standing there, and then you see the queen that never was standing there with her face broke. Like, I missed that whole thing, bro.
Yeah.
So Bonnie, the Lord of the Rings had 24 million people in the first 24 hours. Or 25 million people in the first 24 hours.
That's not what I got.
Which is Amazon's biggest launch ever. But I still think Game of Thrones beat it. But they showed 25 million in the first 24 hours.
Views?
Yes. So I'm looking right here. This is Bloomberg. This is Variety. I'm sorry, this is Variety. That's a reputable source. It says Amazon broke a long-held precedent Saturday by revealing the viewership data for a Prime Video series for the first time ever, which tells you they don't do well normally, making the exception on remaining tight-lipped about its internal TV ratings for its big budget, The Lord of the Rings. According to the e-commerce giant, The Lord of the Rings was viewed by 25 million viewers globally over the first initial 24 hours of the series. So I mean, that's a solid start for Amazon, because Amazon is not the leader in streaming by a long margin.
They aren't, but they're getting there. I mean, they're starting to string together some shows. But let's jump into this episode before we run out of time.
Episode 3.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you want me to say about it?
I'll just kind of talk with you. I mean, you said you got a new crush. Like, what was your?
Well, yeah, which I already liked Damon.
Yes,
but now I really like Damon.
Yes.
I liked his juke at the end.
Yeah,
that was really good. And the fact that he's like, I don't need your help. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Like, I was wondering if that was. I was wondering if that was the
here's my question too. But I don't know. Okay, because Viserys from the books, like his dragon, I don't know if his dragon's like, okay, you know who his dragon is, right? Do y'all know?
No.
I don't know if I want to say it.
Which one is his dragon?
I don't think I want to. His was Baryon, the biggest dragon, the
big red dragon.
No, he's dark.
He's the black one they had him in episode 2? No, the brother had the red one.
Yeah, that's Craxus. That's Damon's dragon.
Yeah, that's who I
know. His Varys's dragon is he's mentioned too in Game of Thrones. He's the skull at the in the underneath or whatever. That's Baryon's skull. He was like the biggest dragon. Like
because he was the one. Because in episode 2, he's talking to that little 12-year-old girl that he was talking about marrying, which is gross. So he's talking to her, and she says, "What was it like to ride him?" And he was like, "He was the last vestige of old Valyria."
Yes.
So he got to ride it before he died. So I'm guessing, like one of the original dragons.
So he like claimed him as his dragon whenever because they pick their dragons or whatever. Yeah. And so that's who he claimed as his dragon. So my whole thing with why I'm saying that is like, how's he going to come and help him? In my opinion,
I mean, he could ride another dragon, right? It's not like a big.
Yes,
it's not like a permanent bond.
But that's one of the things where I wonder if they're going to change it. Then what's the story? Like he doesn't in the book, so I don't know if he's going to in the show.
See, and I thought in episode 3 we were getting that time jump. A lot of people were speculating that we were getting the time jump.
I don't think it's until episode 6.
I mean, I believe it. I'm just saying what other people were saying. Mm-hmm. Like we were getting that time jump. Because I mean, I still like the actress that's playing. What's her name?
Oh my God, I know.
Rhaenyra? Outside of her teeth, but I mean, yeah.
So are we gonna see a marked jump for?
So in the beginning. In the beginning, you hear the older actress narrating. Okay. Again, something I missed in the first episode.
I missed that.
I love her.
Because we had a 6 month time jump between 1 and 2, right? From when he named her to episode 2 was like 6 months.
And we get another time jump from 2 to 3.
It was more than 6 months because the kid was 2 years old.
No, that's 2 to 3. He's talking about 1 to 2.
And 1 to 2 was 6 months because he specifically said it's been half a year since you named her.
Yeah. Okay, I get that.
And then there's another time jump, and I'm sure we're going to see another time jump going 3 to 4.
Does the crab guy play a part in episode 3?
Yes, he does. He does. Mm-hmm. He has a nice little part.
Because look,
he plays a great part.
That was classic Game of Thrones to me, where he's, they open that episode. I'm going back to 2 because it's all I know.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
He's nailing those people like in the surf, and there's all those crabs. Like, that was solid.
Would you watch episode 3?
Yeah, just let us know when we see episode 3. He has a great part in episode 3.
I will say this. Go ahead.
I was trying to get my wife to watch it last night, but she was tired.
Yeah,
that's okay. I don't wait anymore, and I told my husband that I'm not waiting anymore. I'm #Damon for life now.
Now, what's the king's name?
Viserys.
I'm not a fan.
The actor who played. Well, I'm gonna just tell you, he has a scene in this episode that I was super proud of him, because he was like.
I think I know what part you're talking about.
He's sitting on his throne, and he's having a drink, and some people come and holler at him, and it's his rebuttals. Like he was so fed up with stuff, and so he was clapping back because for him it's like, look. there's a time and place for everything. Y'all sitting up here trying to play the Game of Thrones, and we're here for a particular purpose, right?
Right.
And y'all are still bringing up stuff as though we not doing this, and y'all are basically disrespecting me because I'm telling you, like, nah, this stuff happened some time ago. It can wait 3 days after we finish doing what we're doing.
Mhm.
So it was he was clapping back at people. And then, he had a very vulnerable moment with his wife. So it was just like actor, this particular, like, he went through a range of emotions in this episode, and it was dope.
Did.
It was super.
He did. I did. Yeah, I did enjoy
I really
that.
didn't. He was almost a throwaway person for me, but after this episode, it was like, all right, I like him now.
So that's one thing too that I've kind of noticed. His character is like, he's kind of growing on you, right? It seems like he's which is
Thanks.
Oh yeah, yeah. Even after the conversation he has with his daughter is where I really respected him.
Yes.
Well, it's not even that. The last conversation he had with his wife, like, he actually listens to people when they talk, and that's weird. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because he listens to counsel. He does come up with his own opinions based upon the counsel, but you at least know he listens based upon his responses to things. So I thought that was dope.
But he's also willing to let him cut his wife open to get the baby.
He talks about that as well. That's what I'm saying. He did a nice little arc in this episode. I thought it was dope.
I would agree with that.
I'll have to check it out. Obviously, I'm not a fan of him marrying the 15-year-old, but we saw it coming from the second his dad goes to his room.
Yeah, it's fantasy, and it like that's another thing too, because the whole Targaryens and the intermingling and all that stuff. But I mean, that's what the freaking English people have done in their past. Like,
well, that's monarchy.
If you let me put it to you like this, brother. Let me just pay attention to conversations in episode 3. If you have an issue with him about to marry a 12-year-old, wait till you hear some of the conversations.
Yeah, just wait till you hear some.
No, and again, like, I understand we're talking monarchy and stuff. I didn't like, because they were the queen, and I'm terrible with names. So the queen to be or whatever, and her best friend, like that whole, and like the dad, the hand forcing the girl to like go hang out with the king. Like, you knew where it was headed, but that's what, like, it's just gross to me. Like, because look, let's be honest, like throughout history, that's happened. Like,
but I'm just saying,
dad's like, hey, my daughter's semi-attractive, go hook up with the king.
I think that's why we get the time skips like we do.
Yeah, but you just wait till you hear the conversation in this episode. You're gonna be like, what?
Yeah. I will say this too. Rhaenyra's character was like, I absolutely loved maybe it's the foreshadowing they're doing.
Yes.
I mean, I was like, honestly, this is the person I wanted to see in Game of Thrones with Daenerys.
Yes,
what everybody wanted to see.
It's like we're getting redemption in a certain way, because Rhaenyra is Daenerys's like
descendant,
great grandmother. So I'm like, this is so far. I know we're only 3 episodes in, but it's like, I need that redemption.
Shane,
have we heard anything? Go ahead.
Go.
I was just mine's a side trail, so go ahead.
Mine too. Go ahead.
Have we heard anything about the Jon Snow series? Like, is that happening?
Have not. It's gonna happen, but I haven't heard.
Yeah, it's happening.
Yeah.
So are they writing it now? So we're in the very, very beginning stages.
Very, very beginning.
Yeah, and
I know.
Plus, I mean, I was just gonna say, go ahead, Bonnie.
I was just saying, Kit Harington, I know for sure is returning, and that's about as far as I like. Some of the other actors and actresses have said they would return, but some have said no, I'm not going to. So I think they're.
Did Arya say if she was going to return? Because I want to see.
I think Maisie Williams said she would love to come back.
Yeah, I mean, how about her like finishing up wherever she went?
Read an article the other day.
I just think it's good, positive information to, like, they're not doing the Star Wars thing where they're announcing stuff that's not going to happen. Like, they know that the excitement for Game of Thrones is back, and they can definitely.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And think about this. Like, let's say it's 2 years before we see anything on that. So you have a couple seasons of this under your belt, and then they come out with the freaking, the main cast members coming back. That show will be massive.
100%.
Massive.
Did you watch Disney growing up, sir?
Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, mostly.
So what about The Little Mermaid?
Yeah, I watched The Little Mermaid.
Do you know how old Ariel was?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's but look. I look, the age. Look, this is going to come out weird.
All of the Disney princesses.
Right. That's what I'm saying though. Like, I don't like the 15 and the 12-year-old stuff grosses me out, but like that wasn't what I was saying my issue was. My issue was saying him marrying his daughter's best friend.
Yes.
Look, I understand how the monarchies work and back then, like before we had age of consent and stuff, that was just gross.
Yeah.
Like
gross.
Like when he's walking with that little 12-year-old and she's like, yeah, my mom said I don't have to sleep with you until I'm 14.
I'm 14, yeah. It's crazy.
No, I would agree with that too. And that's one of the things that I think we see with both of their characters, Alicent and Rhaenyra. They're best friends. They're like, well, she says quasi siblings.
Whenever like they're sisters. She's like a sister.
So, and then this is the start of that like
splintering,
crumbling, you know? Yeah.
See, you see her like peeling her fingernails off and she knows what's coming and she's like looking down and they're just staring at each other and you can just feel that relationship like sever.
Well, I honestly thought she had feelings for her romantically.
Yeah, I kind of got that. Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me. It felt romantic.
Yeah, but it's all the gross dads like scheming to like, hey, go have you talked to the king tonight? Are you going to the king's bedroom? And you can tell she's so uncomfortable with it. Like, I don't know, man.
He even told her like wear that dress your mama wore.
Oh, gets under my skin. It's gross.
And she's already having such a hard time with that, not growing up with the mom. And like with Rhaenyra losing her mom, you know, her trying to be there for her friend because she's lost her mom. And then this is her gross freaking dad, which is, by the way, is Luna Lovegood's dad.
Is that Luna Lovegood's dad? Because he was a creeper in the Harry Potter movies too.
I know. So I'm like, really? Dude, why? But
he plays the creeper really well.
But he does.
Look, I'm ready for him to die. We all know he's going to die because it's Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but he got away.
Die for a while.
I'm ready for him to go.
Think.
That's Littlefinger Jr. right there.
No, yes.
Well, I'm ready for him to get his.
Hey, man, before we jump off here, man, real quick, let's kind of do a little talk about She-Hulk. I know you're behind on that too, Shane.
Look, okay, don't judge me.
I'm not. I promise you, I'm not.
I have seen her twerking all over the internet and all in our chat feed.
Loved it.
I don't have an issue with it.
You already know we can't pick about people watching shows. Bonnie ain't seen Rebels.
That is true.
You
haven't watched the cartoon on
Invincible.
Invincible.
No, she hasn't seen Invincible either.
You guys can never remember the name. I've always got to tell you the name of it.
Look, I can't remember anything.
You know the name, but she ain't watched it though.
You need to watch it.
No, I haven't.
She ain't watched the Nevers either, bro.
No, not yet.
Whatever's is great.
So She-Hulk, what are your thoughts about it, Bonnie?
I freaking love it. I absolutely love it. Like, I don't understand what everybody's problem is about it either. They've already said this is a comedy. It's not like Law and Order or what the hell ever. Like, it's supposed to be like Reno 9. What is it? Reno
911 is gold.
Not that one. I'm thinking of the other one with Terry Crews.
Oh no.
So it's supposed to be like that.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
That is Brooklyn Nine-Nine. How that show is to like cop shows. This is supposed to be like that for law shows. So I'm like,
it feels really good because it's standing on its own, right? Because it's like same thing with like watching Miss Marvel, right? Even though it was geared towards that victorious and all of that type stuff, like this, it doesn't take itself serious, and I think that's what's refreshing.
Did you guys see what Daniel said?
Huh?
Victorious?
What happened?
See the chat?
Oh.
Are you saying
I hate him. I hate him.
I knew what you were saying, Ahmad.
She-Hulk. She-Hulk.
No, I'm gonna hear that every time you say it.
It's gonna get really bad when they make a She-Hulk movie, and then
right.
We never know what's going on.
But you know what's funny though? She might have to change her name to She-Hulk after this episode.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
I need to get caught up. I like the first episode.
So good.
Yeah.
I love this episode too because of Wong.
Wong is the best, bro.
So Wong is in it,
bro.
Oh crap!
And there's a particular thing that she addresses about it, and that's what makes it even funnier. Like it is, bro. I'm telling you,
I love the cutscene.
Yeah, the fourth wall stuff.
It's the best.
Is dope. And like you said, the end scene was dope.
Okay, I'll get into it. I'll try and get caught up before the next.
I mean, it's only what 30-40 minutes.
Yeah, I was off yesterday, and my plan was to Hulk it and to get through it.
Yeah, it's a great watch, man. It's fun. It's really fun.
Yes, that's what Well, and that's what I was telling Phil about. Like, I love Marvel shows. I love the movies, but they're so depressing sometimes. Like, I'll rewatch them and they're so sad and they make me cry and they're just like WandaVision or even like the Captain America and Falcon show, like, not Falcon and Winter Soldier. But like, this is just some good comedy where I'm laughing my butt off and not being depressed.
Yeah.
Also, because it's breaking my heart.
Deuce started watching it, but Samaya hit me up. She was like, "Yo, you didn't watch it yet?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "What do you think?" She said, "Matter of fact, just wait till I watch it and I'll tell you what I think." So I'm still waiting for her to tell me her opinion, but it's cool that I get to talk to them about it because it's dope.
I love that.
Did we already know the name for the Agatha series before this week?
I think they released it.
They changed the name.
Yeah, it's Agatha Coven of Chaos now.
Yes. Yeah. That happened. That happened a while back though.
And it's winter of next year. I couldn't tell if it was recent. It just popped up on one of my feeds, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Well, that's because they changed the order.
Is this weekend, right?
It's Disney
9th
Plus
through the 11th.
The 8th.
I thought that was D23.
No, D23 is coming. Is it
right?
I googled it earlier. It said 9th through the 11th.
No. But Disney Plus Day is today.
Yeah, Disney Plus Day is today.
So no, I'm talking about D23.
I know what you're talking about, but I'm just telling you the start of stuff is today. Like they released Thor on Disney Plus today. We got Pinocchio. We got the Obi-Wan documentary.
I just want to know because of this. Okay, I saw a TikTok today, and I just want to put this in y'all's ear.
Okay.
So we already know that Henry Cavill is in talks with MCU.
Yes.
What if they cast him as Dr. Doom?
I don't care as long as he's still Superman.
I expected a little bit more.
Well, because my brain, you fried my brain because I was wanting him to be like a X-Men, like
Dr. Doom,
Wolverine or something.
Could you imagine him? I don't know if I'd want him as Wolverine, but
he's bad. He's an anti-hero. He's like, there's so many different things that Dr. Doom does.
You wouldn't want him as Wolverine?
I don't know because I'm so attached. And look, you know how much I hate this guy.
Hugh Jackman.
The Butcher guy. I feel like
Butcher. Oh my
God,
he's not leaving the boys, bro. It's not gonna happen. Here's my thing.
He doesn't have to leave the boys.
That is your man crush.
I know.
He have his shirt off.
As Dr. Doom too.
Look, I don't need him to take his shirt off. He can keep his shirt on. Like that.
If you saw it off, you wouldn't be depressed about that.
I wouldn't be upset, but I'm not like eager for the man to take his shirt off. Okay. Yeah,
I'm with Charles. No, not as Wolverine.
I don't think he should be Wolverine.
I mean, there's speculation that he's going to be like the Superman of the Marvel universe.
But here's my thing: can he keep doing DC if he's doing Marvel, or are they gonna will they write him out of that contract?
Yeah. The problem is they haven't announced him. They haven't. So I'm not gonna stop the bag because I'm waiting on y'all to say something. Like if you want me,
I'm not saying he shouldn't go do it. I'm just saying DC needs to get their shit together and hire him for the next Superman.
But I don't think it should conflict anything.
I just don't know. I don't know how their contracts work because like DC is a direct competitor to Marvel. Like
okay, but if Thanos can play both Thanos and Cable, I don't.
That's true. That is true.
Because look, I just really want to see him as Superman again. Look, obviously I'm still getting The Witcher, so I'm happy. Yeah. But I just really want to see him as Superman again. Like I think he did a great job, and I want to see another Superman movie. Like it's what I want.
As long as his shirt's off, I'm good.
Keep his shirt on.
I've been rewatching Witcher too, so
last thing about Disney Plus Day. Andor, if for those who would like to see it, the Andor special look is on Disney Plus, and they have like a scene on there, and I found myself watching it, and I was like, nope, gotta turn it off.
I'm surprised.
Because I was just caught up because what I'm saying is it was the actor talking about like you see Diego Luna talking about like, man, no, this show is great. Like he said that when they're shooting, they actually have the orchestra there playing while they're acting.
That is cool.
Are you serious?
That is cool.
Not kidding. He said the composer was out there he said, while we're acting, I hear the music. Like, that's bananas, right?
That's insanity.
Right. So they go straight, which means that you have to be on par with what you're saying, because music cues happen with what people say. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, normally they write the show, they film it, and then they give them the video and they write the score to the video.
Right. 100%.
That is so cool.
And the music that they're playing, even in the background of him talking, is amazing. So you know that, because they're more and more trying to get away from the John Williams stuff, which kind of sucks, but whatever. But then it goes into a scene, and I'm like, wait a minute, they're not stopping the scene. It keeps going, and I was like, wait, no, and I had to stop it because it was getting good, and I was like, bro, this show is gonna be great.
I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it. So
yeah.
Well, anyway,
yeah,
that's the show, folks.
That's the show.
Yep.
Thank y'all for joining the Marauders. Join us every Thursday at 7:30 Central Time, and we hashtag Damon. And we catch up with us next week, and we will be talking more House of the Dragons. We'll be talking the Lord of the Rings, and we will definitely get it. Yeah, we're definitely getting into some spoilers next week.
Yes,
whether
watch
Shane
your shows.
I will be caught up. Look, if my wife doesn't, I will get caught up. I'm not going to commit that to film, but I will get caught up. I'll be good to go.
All right. Well, thank y'all for watching, and we out.
Next Thursday.